Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Adoption Happy Hour. We are the National Association of Adoptees and Parents, and our mission is to unify the adoption community, elevate our diverse voices, promoting dialogue, understanding, and healing through education, awareness, and connection. My name is Greg Gentry, and I am a domestic infant adoptee from the baby scoop era. It's wonderful to have you all here today. And we do have great announcements coming up in a minute here, and the reintroduction of someone very important to our space who's glad to be back and has some exciting things to share. And before that, I wonder, Beth, if we have any housekeeping items, including reading off of our bylaws. So again, please remain on mute and raise your virtual hand, which you can do at the bottom of the Zoom call with the reactions button or virtually in order to be recognized. And please do use the chat to comment and make posts there. We do recommend that, and it is a good way to keep conversation going. If you are experiencing a serious mental health event or suicidal thoughts, please contact a licensed professional or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by dialing 988. And this is a public meeting with no guarantee that information or identity is confidential. And portions of the event are recorded and may be shared in our private happy hour group on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. And now for the housekeeping items, Beth.
We want to remind you of NAAP's regular programming that comes to you every month. We have happy hour on the first and the third Friday night with a variety of guests and topics that we discuss. We have Dr. Joyce's Putting Yourself Together After Reunion support group that met earlier this week. It's usually the second or the third Tuesday night of the month. Dr. Joyce comes to us and we have a great time discussing all things reunion. We also have First Families facilitated by Amy Seek, and that group meets monthly the second Thursday night of the month, and they were last week. And then we close out the month each time with Migrating Toward Wholeness, facilitated by Dr. Liz DeBetta. And they will be meeting yet this month. I did not look at the date, but it's usually the fourth Friday, monthly on the Thursday, the fourth Thursday of the month. You will want to watch your email, because anytime you've registered for one of our events, you will get an email when those events are posted, for the next month. So watch your email for opportunities to register for our programming each month. And that is it for me.
Thank you so much, Beth. Well, I'm really pleased to be able to announce that, first of all, I appreciate very much the opportunity to have served as interim host of Adoption Happy Hour for the last 6 months. And that was in anticipation of the wonderful return of Marcie Keithley to the space. And we're here to welcome Marcie back, and also our guest tonight, Dr. Joyce Pavao, a wonderful friend to us. But Marcie, thank you so much for the opportunity to have served with NAAP and the great people here, all of our guests, and of course, Beth and Jen, who made so much of this possible. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to handing this back to you and also hearing from you and Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg, and welcome everybody. It's wonderful to be back after 6 months, and I just want to give a special shout out to Greg, who graciously stepped in for me and gave me the opportunity to do a little self-care and step back due to my recent news that I got last year. So I really appreciate you, Greg. I've only heard great things, and yeah, we'll see a lot more of you in the future, but thank you so much. Beth and Jennifer have done an awesome job as far as allowing me this sacred time to spend with myself and my family. And I appreciate Beth and Jennifer so much. So thank you to all of you. And I've missed you guys. So it's really great that you're here with me tonight. It's funny because I was sharing earlier, it's been so long, I feel a little nervous, but then I realized that, the last 5 years, I've been with you, this community, the adoption community, and how special all of you are. So I'm just grateful to be back. And so I thought what we would do this evening is talk a little bit about self-care and about the importance of taking time for ourselves. And I couldn't think of a better partner than my mentor, Dr. Joyce, to join me in this topic. because we all need to take care of one another, each other. And sometimes it's really difficult to make that agonizing decision just to step back and say, this is for me, for whatever reason, right? And we know that adoption has layer upon layer of trauma. And this is a lifelong journey, and it's just not something that we just get over, regardless of what some people will tell us, right? It's something that we have to constantly work at. And then the last 6 months, for me, that's what happened is I was agonizing over this decision. I knew I needed to do something, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to leave the community, but I knew that personally, I needed to step back with my recent news of discovering at 68 that I had an NPE and all the other things that were going on in my family. It was just important, but I agonized over it, and I didn't know what was the right decision. I didn't want to leave, but yet I needed my time, right? So how do we make that decision? That was the first thing that I was thinking of that I needed to do, is how do you make the decision when enough is enough? And when you find yourself to the point where you don't feel the same way, that you're forgetting things, and this high anxiety that I had, it was time. And Joyce was instrumental in guiding me through the fact that, yes, I was always going to be a part of the adoption community, but it is okay to step back and take care of myself. And thus started the 6-month sabbatical, where I removed myself from Happy Hour and most of the adoption commitments. So I thank all of you for your patience and understanding. And Joyce, I think we can just chat a little bit about, how I did agonize over that decision. And I felt like I was letting everybody down, and I was feeling guilty. And then it was just like, wait a minute, we got to stop here. Right?
Right. Well, I think, it's funny the trajectory you go on in adoption. I think once you come out of the fog, or whatever you want to call it, you're sort of possessed. It becomes a riveting thing, and you're, either possessed with the search or possessed with reconstituting yourself and making sense of the different aspects of yourself. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. And you don't even know that you weren't doing it before. And you don't really know that you're doing it after. So it's a little bit complicated. And I do think that, people get very involved, as they should. This is a subject that becomes really illuminated to them, and they begin to read everything and watch all the films that are available and go to the conferences and join the groups and write about it and talk about it. And that's all extremely important and healing, but it's exhausting. And it becomes, you become possessed. All those ghosts from your past possess you. And it's important to figure out how to balance your life and how to balance that. And I think what Marcie's talking about is, she had done a great job of balancing the very complicated aspects of her adoption life. She wrote her book. She's involved in this organization and the founding of it with all the others. And she has been really involved and doing it at her pace. And then all of a sudden, this new information out of left field just came at a time that it was a little too much. And I think it was very, very hard for you, Marcie, to figure out, what am I supposed to do? You didn't have the time you had to do it at your own pacing. It hit you. And I think that was what was very difficult. And it was really important for you to figure out how to get a hold of this.
Mm-hmm. And, to add on to what you were just saying, Joyce, about how we go to the conferences and we get involved, and we just want to do everything. We want to support legislation. And for 15 years, that's what I did. I stayed so busy with all those things, and I wanted to be there. And I don't regret any of it. And then in my journey, I got to a point of acceptance with how my reunion ended and how difficult that was for me. But I found a home here, right? And I was still working you know, I was okay and I was moving through it because I'd reached that place of acceptance. I had worked through as much as I could my adoption trauma. And then to Joyce's point, then I get this news out of nowhere after being immersed in the adoption community for this long that my dad's not my dad. I mean, how does that happen at 68? I mean, how does that happen? And so it just sucker punched me, and my head and my thoughts were all over the place, and I wasn't focused, I wasn't centered, and I was just trying to be all these things, and I had to back away. So that's what brought on the sabbatical, and I learned a lot in this time and this space that I had, and I want to share that with all of you because I know some of you here, you have your own businesses and your own organizations that are adoption related, and you're probably feeling some of that too, where it's just like, boy, I just need a break. And it is, I'm here to tell you, it's okay. I didn't think it was, but it is okay for us to step back and put ourselves first. It's not being selfish, it's being self-full. And that's what I learned is I was putting others before myself for years, and now it was my time, and it was okay for that to be my time. So that was the first thing, was agonizing over the decision. When was the right time? How to do it? Should I do it? I agonized over that for months. You can ask Beth. I mean, Beth and Jennifer, I don't know what I would have done if it wouldn't have been for them. So it was the decision. But once I made that decision, the first thing that happened was clarity. All of a sudden, that when you take that step back, I started gaining clarity on my life and started to just begin to recenter myself. So clarity was like the first thing. And how many here of you have tried to step back or are having the same thoughts about you're on overload? Mimi, absolutely. You want to add a comment to that or make a comment for me?
Yeah, really quick. You know, I've been involved with Cub since for 40 years, since the mid 80s. Held all kinds of positions on the board, including president, facilitated the LA support group for almost that long. And I was getting a little burnt out because then I stopped wanting to go to where we were doing our meetings before and doing it in my home because it was easier just for me to be here, you know, and not have to travel. It took me like, you know, traffic in Los Angeles. It would take me like at least an hour, hour and a half to get to where our meeting is. And it's like 25 miles away, right? It's not that far. So anyways, I stepped then, and most of you know, I lost my daughter 8 years ago to suicide. And of course, that rocked my world. And I tried, like the following month after she died, I had my support meeting and realized I just can't do it. Because when you're facilitating a group, you're not, you know, you're supposed to be in charge. You're not supposed to be a basket case, right? And I was a basket case. And one of the big things was I knew people wanted me to talk about what happened. And I just couldn't repeat myself over and over again. I was still processing what had happened. And so I just said, sorry, guys, I just can't do it. And again, it was agonizing because I had been doing it for at least 30 years at that point. But again, like you, once I made that decision and didn't have that responsibility, and I was on the board as like a, you know, past president. That was too much dealing with all of the crap being on a board, right? And for the first time in years, I didn't have that burden. Not that it was a burden. It was a labor of love all those years, but I just had to step away. Still being connected with my closest friends. And in the last couple, 2-3 years, I've like tiptoed back in. I did a happy hour one night. I facilitate the online support groups now for Cub, one of the facilitators. And so I'm still connected. but it's at my pace. It's what I can do. I'm never going to take on the big burden of running the organization or helping to run the organization, but I can't let go of it either because it's been my lifeline for 40 years. So
Yeah.
everything you are saying, I totally relate to, and I applaud you for putting yourself first, because I put it off for a really long time, and it was the best decision I made, though, to back away, and the world didn't fall apart when I did that.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Mimi. It's good to
You're
see you
welcome.
here tonight.
I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. Elizabeth, you've got your hand up.
Actually, Yvonne had her hand up first.
Okay.
Hi, I've stepped away right now. I started the podcast, Birth Mom Zero Talk, in 2021, and there have been seasonal times that it's a lot of stuff going on in everybody's life. But when times, I mean, I'm balanced so many things. I run my own business, I have teams, and reunion with my son, and a dysfunctional family, and all of that. And I step away unapologetically. I don't have to apologize for it. And I'm always going by I guess, the synopsis or the mantra: put your own air mask on first. Then you can talk to others. But if you can't breathe, you can't help anyone else. And I've had to really be set that boundary with that, because quite frankly, when I've taken breaks, I actually would get like emails, well, you haven't had a podcast episode in a while. When's the next one? When I'm ready. That's it. So I have to really keep that boundary when I'm ready.
Thank you, Yvonne. Okay, Elizabeth.
Okay, thanks. Well, first of all, I just want to say this is my first time being at a happy hour, so thank you all. And I've gotten to know Marcie here over the last couple of weeks, and it's real interesting for me. I'm writing a book actually about adoption reunions right now, and I've interviewed 37 people over the last few months, and hearing everybody's stories has gotten me, of course, into my own. I've been in reunion for 26 years with my own family. And I was real involved in the adoption community 20 plus years ago. For those of you who remember the American Adoption Congress, I was involved with them from probably 99 to 2005 or so. And it just got so overwhelming. And I reunited in 99. So sort of what Dr. Joyce was saying at the beginning, when you come out of that fog, you just get possessed. And I was so possessed. And I remember, and to be fair, I found my birth mom, my birth dad, and 11 brothers and sisters. So I have a lot of people to build relationships with. And I am in relationship with everybody. But it was a combination of, as you said, sort of working on myself, but then working on, developing the relationships and sort of this new reality. Like, who am I? So I always think about like life, who was I before and then who am I after? So, now that I'm back in the adoption case, so what happened for me, I stuck around for about 5 or 6 years, and then I just got so burnt out. I stepped away for 15, 16, no, even longer, maybe 20 years. So now that I'm back, I'm watching, and especially Marcie, what you're saying, you're like, I got really burnt out. I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I don't do that again. And just make sure to pace myself and find, what do I need? And then what can I give? How can I serve? But make sure that it's an even give and take of that, and just to pace myself. So I'm really paying attention to that. So
Great. And it's good to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Joyce, I had made some notes that I wanted to share too, and I wanted you to piggyback and add off of this, that some of the benefits of my sabbatical. And one main thing that I can think of was like I said, I've recentered with myself. I deepened that relationship within myself, because there was those quiet moments. I had that time to think, and those things that bring me joy, exercise, nature, writing. I'm an author, so I want to, I'm working on another book. I like to write music. So I started concentrating on all those things that I knew that brought me joy, and my family. But it got me to the point where that, again, once I had that safe space, that, you know, I gained clarity, and I could step back into reducing the anxiety that I had and the stress that I had over that recent news. Do you have some other things to add to that?
Well, I think, one of the things that happens during a sabbatical or during taking time off is it doesn't automatically become healing. Most people go a little crazy and they act out on themselves a little bit in the beginning because they're trying to figure out what's going on. So I think there are lots of stages to this time off that one has. It's hard to get used to not just talking about adoption, to reconnect with friends who have nothing to do with it. Not that you haven't all along, but it takes up a lot of space for people who are deeply involved in it. And that could be for a short term during your search, or you could be involved in organizations and it could be a longer term. And as Elizabeth mentioned, it gets complicated. You're dealing with people with trauma, and people have different ways of responding to things, and it can be difficult. So even when you begin to pull back, a lot of that trauma hits, and you go through whatever you go through. It's different for everyone. But then you get to a place where you can really use the time, where you can read trashy novels. Unfortunately, they all have something to do with adoption. But you can try to read things that aren't adoption related. You can start to just get a handle on yourself. The things that Marcie mentioned that are so important, being in nature, really taking care of yourself, what you're eating, getting enough sleep. These things don't happen in the course of our chaos. And it's important to figure out how to balance that. We didn't learn, those of us who are adopted, not everyone here is on that end of the spectrum, but for those of us who are adopted, we didn't really learn to self-regulate. And, it's something that over time, hopefully, we have learned how to, but we don't always fall into it automatically. So, really taking the time to give yourself grace and to figure out what it is that makes you feel good. Where do you find joy? And it's different for everyone, totally different for everyone. And, some people may journal or write, some people may do interpretive dance on the beach. I mean, I don't know, you do whatever you do, but make sure it serves you. And like people have said, and I think we always use this analogy, you do put your mask on first before you put the mask on your child if you're in flight. And I think that's selfish has gotten a bad rep. It's, really important to be selfish. It's not important to be narcissistic and extremely selfish. But if you're not a little bit selfish, what good are you to yourself or to anyone else? So these are things that we really need to pay attention to. And we pay attention to our psyche, our physical self, our emotional self, our spiritual self. I mean, all those areas have to be looked after in some way. And it doesn't happen linearly. It's episodic, and you find different ways of dealing with it. And when you have the space during a sabbatical, you have the space to have things, light up for you. I like the terminology that's used these days, glimmers. Instead of triggers, you look for glimmers.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that too. Something I wanted to mention too was what I did was started a journal. Of course, I'm sure we all journal, but I did a self-care journal, which was a little bit different than actual just journaling. And in the self-care journal, now that I can look back, because I had to initially sit with my feelings and go to that uncomfortable spot and that dark spot and just let that wash over me and just feel that. And then I've gone back now 6 months and looked at what I wrote and how I felt as opposed to how I feel now. And it's just such a blessing to be renewed and refreshed. And it's a good tool for me to go back and look at my mindset and where I was and how I got there. and then where I am today. Of course, again, nothing's perfect, right? It's always a daily work in progress. But I did start a self-care journal. So that was something does anybody have one of those? You want to tell us a little bit about your journal and how that started?
Sure. I was going to change my name to Tina, but it won't let me. So that's why it says what it says.
Okay.
It's from a different Zoom meeting, so I apologize. Um, I started a spiritual journey journal, and it's just, from the time that there was reunion through the last 3 years. I listen to a lot of Christian music, and I'll wake up in the morning with a Christian song on my heart, and I'll note what it was. And then throughout the day, I'll find out why that was on my heart. It's just been a really cool journey. And I just got a lot of neat entries that I can look back on, and had a lot this week just alone. And just, it's amazing. It's an amazing journey, and to keep track of it. And I talk about what I'm struggling with in this moment of time. And then a week later, I look back and, oh, it was just a moment of struggle. And
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It was really beneficial because you can look back and you can see your state of mind and where you were and how you moved past that. And yeah, it's very helpful to keep looking back at what we wrote in our journals. And also, to add on to what you just said to music, that's very important to me. Same thing. I always get up, always have gotten up and played music in the kitchen, and always kind of did a little dance in the morning to get myself going. It was just a little gift to me. But now it's all, that's incorporated in my daily routine. I know it sounds silly. I'm telling on myself. Picture me dancing in the kitchen and the first thing, but anyway, I enjoy it and it makes me feel good and it starts my day. And so music's been very instrumental. And like I shared with some of you, and I love to write, and this last 6 months, I've written 2 songs, the lyrics to 2 country songs. So just whatever I could think of that was, going to bring me joy, was going to make me feel better. And then I kind of pushed myself a little bit and tried to step outside of my comfort zone and do some different things. And of course, I spent a lot of time with family, especially with my grandchildren and my great grandchildren. So those were some of the things that I did. Joyce, you want to piggyback off of that, or anybody else want to add something to that?
I want to hear from other people. I think, it's so important to hear stories of what people are doing to take care of themselves. And, I mean, there are some things that, of course, there's therapy, there's coaching, there's writing. There are many different things you can turn to. And all of those things are useful, but they're only useful if you choose them. I mean, so many people send you to do something, or, and in the world of adoption, there hasn't been a lot of free choice for the people involved. They've all had difficulties making their own decisions. There's been a push by society, by religion, by parents, by so many people. It's really important to figure out what it is you need and to get that and to feel that you're making that choice. Yeah, I was talking to a person today who I'm helping them to find a therapist in their area. And, I always recommend that people interview. You would interview anyone that was going to work for you. If you were getting I'm about to get my porch fixed. So I've got 3 quotes from 3 different builders who are going to do the porch work. And, first of all, I want to know how much they're going to charge. Second of all, do I like this guy? Unfortunately, it's all guys, or I would have said person. So am I going to like working with this person? And are they going to follow through and do it in the right way? Anybody that you're hiring, you would go through some kind of process. You need to go through that also if you're looking for someone that's going to work very closely with you in terms of a coach or a therapist. You don't just go to someone because someone sent you. You really want to see if they're right for you. And I think that one of the things that you do during a sabbatical and that you did, Marcie, is you got to stop and look at things and figure out, is this for me? And yeah, it's for you to get up and dance in the kitchen in the morning. That's great. I mean, people do exercises in the morning. Why not incorporate it with music and dance around the house? It's fabulous. That works for you. For someone else, it might not. And that's fine. There's no judgment. It's about choice. So I think everyone needs to really think about what is going to work for them. What's gonna bring them joy? What's gonna really make them feel like they're in the process of healing, and also to feel like they're paying attention to themselves. You don't get enough attention. And some people take up a lot of space and get a lot of attention. You need to make sure you get your space.
Mhm. Anyone else would like to share?
I do an audio journal, just in speaking versus writing, because I can talk faster than I can write. And it's real good, as you said, Marcie, to go back to that, like a week later, a month later, and see where I was then versus where I may be now. Water is my sacred place. Where I live, I'm about 1 hour door to door to the Chesapeake Bay, and I'm going there tomorrow morning just to have lunch on the water. And so I try to really incorporate that at least once a month, at least, as well as in the morning time. I'm a morning person, so I'm up early. So when my place is a patio, I'll go outside and hopefully see the sunset or the sunrise.
Oh yeah, gotta love those sunrises and sunsets. I love getting up after the little kitchen thing and coffee, and I physically get in my car and drive. It's less, maybe 7 minutes, 6 minutes to an outdoor track that has a body of water, and I have a clear, I can see the sun coming up, the clouds, the ducks are there. I mean, it's all there. And I go there every morning and walk that track. Sometimes I do it at night, but I really enjoy the morning. And I don't know, there's just something about the morning. I'm an early riser too. So I get up and do those things, and it just sets the tone for the day. And it's a gift I give myself. I don't look at it as a chore. I look at it as a gift I give myself. Because, for the longest time, I thought self-care is more than going and getting a manicure and going and getting a massage. It's deeper than that. It's more than that. It's that time with yourself. It just really is setting with yourself, setting with your feelings, and being 100% present with yourself. I just hadn't done that before, so it was new for me. But the other thing I did want to mention too is that it's important too that even though we're having all this time to ourselves, we still have those individuals that are out there that we know that are our support system, and it's okay to reach out. It's not you stay in silence for 6 months. I mean, Joyce, I've talked to you. Like I said, Beth and Jennifer have been instrumental. Two of my very, very close friends. So we still have those times where we just need to hear from someone else, and we know that we can just be ourselves, and they'll uplift us and support us. So that was helpful for me as well. Okay. Anybody else?
Peter has his hand up.
Oh, Peter, good to see you. You're on mute.
Yep, unmuted now.
Oh, good to see you.
I can't offer any advice. I'm high anxiety. My life is stressful. I often feel like I'm being drawn and quartered in every direction. I closed a business 12 months ago, and that took some stress off. But I also think it's a little bit like an analogy people told us about, I've said about traffic in Sydney. It's like putting a new road in Sydney is like digging a trench across a waterlogged paddock. It'll just fill with water or fill with cars. So even though I get rid of one thing, something else is ready to fill the void. And because not only adoptee rights, but I also the secretary of the local Aboriginal elders group, which has its own commitments, especially to schools and things like that. And so when I'm not working, I'm doing that, or I'm doing adoptee rights, or so I'm working. I work part-time during the week, and usually 12-hour shifts when I do that, driving. So yeah, I don't get on Facebook as much. I feel a little bit guilty about that, but I'm not in the battles on Facebook that I used to be. I used to be open up Facebook and get in a battle with someone in pro adoptionist, and I don't do that anymore. So but I do have a trip coming up to Europe in the next 2 months, less than 2 months now, for 5 or 6 weeks. So I'm hoping I can relax there. It's I don't know. It'll be good to do.
It's important that you take that time for yourself. Where are you going in Europe?
I'm going back to Italy to again to visit my father's grave and the village, but also other relatives there. And my oldest grandchild, 20-year-old grandchild, she's coming with us. She's paying her own way. So why a 20-year-old would want to come with her grandparents, I don't really know, but she does. She's got her own anxiety, so she said I wouldn't travel to Sydney by myself. I certainly wouldn't go to Europe by myself. So that'll be good to show her experiences over there, and show her some of the places that we loved over there, and find some new places together. We're going to France we've got friends who have a property in the south of France that they spend 6 months a year at. So we're going to catch up with them, and do all the things, Venice and Rome and all those.
Wonderful.
So
well, you'll have to get back on Facebook and share some of those pictures when you travel.
I'm terrible at sharing pictures on Facebook, but I'll have to do it.
But it's good to see you.
So, no advice for anyone. Just letting you know, we've all got busy lives, and and it's a balance, and it's a hard balance to work out. I'm glad you took the time out and did it, and we see this in my own organisation. People get burnt out, and got to take back steps, and I fully support them when they have to do that. Because I know I've had to step back a little bit myself. So, but there's just so many things to do. I don't know if that's insightful.
Well, thank you, Peter.
You reminded me of something, Peter, that's hard. And I think we talked about this, Marcie, that the other thing in adoption is rejection sensitivity. So when someone pulls out of the scene and disappears, a lot of people feel they've been abandoned or rejected by that person. And I think it's really important to figure out how to understand who's doing what and why. Are you taking this time for yourself, and do people know that who depended on you before you did that? So it's pretty complicated. And like you said, Marcie, even taking that time, you feel guilty about it. You feel like, can I really do it? Is it okay? What will happen? And we're all still here. You took your time, and we're all still here.
I just wanted to add, this is part of my relaxation time coming here. That's why I look forward to it. I enjoy being here.
We enjoy having you. Let's see, Julie, you had your hand up.
Julie, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm driving, so I just wanted to, be safe as I'm doing this. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, be sure you're safe.
Well, I am. That's why I wanted to be sure. It's my first time here, and I'm honored to be here. But hi everybody. I'm literally moving across the country from Virginia to California, so that is why I'm in my car right now. But I'm an adoptee myself. And when you guys were talking about self-care, one of the things that is actually really helped me. I put it in the chat, but is this gratitude journal that I have found. I honestly should be getting royalties because I've talked about it so much, but it has like a morning reflection and an evening reflection, and it really helps me to ground myself in the morning. I wake up first thing and sitting on my bed. I've been traveling, and I write in it my 5 things that happened in the last 24 hours that really lit me up, made me smile, brought joy to my face, as well as things that I'm excited about and how I'm going to show up that. And then I'm able to end the day as feeling that you felt throughout the day, negative and positive, and it allows you a place to what good happened today, how did you contribute to the good in the world. It's just a really great journal, and it's been something that's really, really helped me to, even as a helping professional with adoptees, to be able to
I think we lost her. She was breaking up a little bit there.
self-care.
Can you hear us,
Self-care.
Julie?
I can hear you. Can you guys
Julie?
hear me?
No, you keep breaking up, Julie, and sometimes you freeze. Maybe I think you're in a funny zone, maybe.
Yeah. She's
Nice
frozen.
hanging out with you guys.
You-
Come back and see us, Julie. Drive safe. Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth and Diana.
Thanks. I have 3 things and I'll try and be real quick with them. First, I want to say, Dr. Joyce, thank you so much for what you said about feeling abandoned, because I just had a really big aha. And I've been working on this in therapy for a year. So, I'm adopted, but I'm also an adoptive mom. And we started off with an open adoption. Our daughter's first mom dropped contact with us when she was 2 years old, and she's 14 and a half now. And we're in reunion with her birth dad, but not her mother. And so you just made me realize, like, oh, because I'm having such a hard time with it. And I have for years. I'm like, oh, I just want her to be in our lives because I had a really great relationship with my first mom. And now my daughter's asking questions and wants to know her first mom. So that was really helpful to go, oh, yeah, that's an abandonment wound. I don't know why I hadn't put those things together until just now. So that was helpful. So I'm going to take a look at that. The second thing I want to say, I've had really good experience over the years of actually writing a grief journal where, I think I just froze. Did I freeze?
a little bit.
Okay. Should be okay now. Yeah, of writing a grief journal. And I'm all for gratitude journals. In fact, and that was the third thing I was going to mention. I wrote a book about self-care that came out in 2020. Is it okay if I don't know if it's okay if I link in the comments, but I will if people are interested. It's just on Kindle, but it's called Smart Self-Care for Busy Women. And but one of the things I write about in there is about keeping a grief journal, that it's okay to just, capture it all because it helps to move it all through the body. So I'm a both and kind of girl, though. We want the grief and the gratitude. Got to honor it all. So
Thank you. Diana? Diana, can you hear us? You want to take yourself off mute?
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi, good to see you.
I just wanted to say it's great seeing everybody. And I just wanted to say, Greg, you did a great job. And
Means a lot.
Dr.
Thank you
Joyce,
so much.
yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I've been pretty busy the last 5 months. But I do, when I got on, he's always been wonderful. And Dr. Joyce, of course, thank you. And Marcie, it's wonderful to have you back.
Thank
And when we
you.
saw self-care, what I find myself doing, I'm a morning person. I got away from that for a while, but I find morning, I live about 5 minutes from the beach. So I take a lot of photos. So I like to get up, even if it's for 15, 20 minutes, just sunrise, sometimes sunset. But I also now swim at the Y, I do laps for myself five times a week and 30 minutes. So that's really helped me feel better about myself. And then, of course, 5 months ago, if I may say, my book finally came out after 7 years in the making. So I've had a lot going on. Yeah. Okay, that's the book.
Yeah, we're going to dig into that on August the 1st. So mark your calendars. So Diane is going to be sharing her amazing story. I could not put this book down. Oh my goodness, what a ride.
It was a ride. Dr. Joyce, it was a ride.
What a ride.
Hey,
But I just wanted to say that. So it's important to keep yourself just not, as you said, just not go for a manicure or whatever.
Yeah,
You have
it's
to
more
do
than that.
things. You have to do things. And I work a little bit part-time too with the art gallery. So over certain times. So I keep busy. I think it's important, especially when I'm not working full-time anymore.
But after reading your book, it's hard to believe you even found time for you. But we'll save that for another happy hour. But wow.
Thank you. I'm waiting for your review.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's coming.
What is your book, Diana?
Connected, Finding My Truth. Marcie has a copy of it.
it's really wonderful.
It is a good book. It's a great book.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Something that I wanted to say, Diana, based on what you just said, is you wouldn't think structure is self-care, but it certainly is. When you're working with little kids, especially my experiences over the years with kids in foster care and adoption who have, cumulative trauma in their lives, in their little lives, when they're as young as 4 or 7. One of the things that is safety to a child in trauma is structure, knowing what's going to happen and depending on it and having follow through makes a huge difference in the internal safety. And it's true for us as adults also. So figuring out a schedule, figuring out some structure, and being able to follow through with it. And I don't mean like boring structure and awful things that you have to do. I mean, the structure of walking to the beach. Even if you put it down on a calendar, okay, this is my beach time. This is my dancing in the kitchen time. This is my, just getting yourself a schedule. And it's fine if you don't do it, but if you have it there, you can fall back on it if you're having a rough day. So finding your own schedule and putting yourself together with that, I think is a really, really useful practice.
I think it's helped. A lot of times even I don't want to go for the swim, but I think once I'm there, I'm so happy I did it.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
Yeah, that's how I am about walking when I first started walking, especially when it's cold or it's nasty out. It's like, oh, do I really want to do that? But it's that act, that routine of I do this every morning now, physically get in my car to drive to that track and do my thing. And I love it. And I don't care if
that's
it's
like the swimming, because I have the
Yeah, swimming,
scoliosis. So,
swimming.
for me to be able to swim for 30 minutes because I can't walk for 30 minutes because I have severe scoliosis since I was a child. I'm so thankful but I'm a good swimmer.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my, that helps.
The other thing that's great is have a dog. I love having a dog. Dogs make you get up and walk them. Dogs are so routinist. They want their dinner at exactly what time. And they even know when it's daylight saving time. They know that their treat was supposed to be at 5, but now it's 4 and they should be having it now. So get a dog,
I have Gatsby. I think he thinks he's a dog. I think he does. He thinks he's human.
Yeah.
Now, Murphy thinks she's a cat. She's got one of those personalities that it's like, I'll let you know when you can pet me. I'll let you know. She
He'll
owns
sit on
me.
your lap for 30 minutes.
She
Like,
owns
really?
me. This is her house. I'm just a guest in her house.
I'm the emotional support human for my dog.
Oh.
He has such anxiety. And so I get to be the emotional support for him.
But yeah,
This
animals
beautiful
do.
dog. I mean, animals are good for.
Animals play a huge part in this.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Dreyfus, my dog that I wrote about in my book, in the opening scene where, you know, Dreyfus was beautiful golden retriever and the best thing.
I remember. Thank you.
Animals, they're very helpful. Anything else as we're winding down the hour that anybody would like to share? Or any more questions for me?
You know, just throwing in some other things, volunteering. You know, go to your local library and read to kids. Do, you know, do something for other people. And, you know, it doesn't always have to be about adoption. Sometimes it's nice to get out of your space and to do something outside of that space. So thinking of ways you can be in the world in different ways.
I tried square dancing. I crashed and burned on that, okay, but I did get out of my comfort zone and I went. Okay, we'll pass on that one. But I did. But yeah. Okay, anything else? It's almost 8 o'clock. Anybody would like to share? It's so good to see so many of you here this evening. And especially for your very first happy hour. We love it that you're here for your very first happy hour. We're here the first and the third of every month. So we hope you'll join us back again. Greg, you have a closing comment for us?
It was a clap, but sure, I'll give you a closing. First of all, it's great to have you back. And I appreciate the interaction here that you and Joyce have been having and everybody weighing in and talking about what's been helpful for them for practicing self-care. And it's something I certainly need because I'm a high stress individual, unfortunately, with a lot of anxiety. I guess it comes across calm and cool, but there's a lot of things underneath. So just for everybody, the encouragement here that has been provided, I'm appreciative of that. I'm excited to see new people, and some of you I do know who are new, and it's great to have you here. And I hope everybody will continue to come back in support of NAAP. And just again, welcome back, Marcie. It's really good to have you.
Greg, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Dr. Joyce, you have a final closing comment as well before I turn it over to Beth for a second?
Well, just take care of yourselves. Think about this and think about how you're going to figure out some special treats for yourself, what you're going to do to take care of yourself.
Great. Thank you. You ready, Beth?
Yes, we've already mentioned this, but look who will be here next happy hour. Marcie, what do you have to say about it?
I have to say that this is definitely one you want to make sure that you've got your calendars marked for, because oh my goodness, the book was absolutely amazing, and twists and turns, and right, Joyce? I mean, all the things. Oh my gosh.
Good summer beach reading, right, Diana?
My goodness. But yeah, she will be joining us on August the 1st at 7 o'clock to talk about her book, Connected. And so we'll make sure that you mark your calendars for that and join us on August the 1st. Again, I appreciate so much all of you. Dr. Joyce, I don't know what I'd do without you. Greg, thank you for your continued support of NAAP. And Beth, always always there for us. I appreciate that so much, and all of you this evening. So everybody have a wonderful weekend and a great week. That's a wrap from NAAP, and I will see you on August the 1st. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, so he had some information that we need about things we can shut off and all of that. I see where he said you can't rename yourself.
We stopped the recording. We haven't stopped the recording yet.